learning people's stories, learning about who these people are and what they bring and who and how they operate in the world was super necessary to them. They felt that it was a priority to talk about what are you dealing with outside of work? Because the reality is, no matter what is your occupation, you bring your whole self to everything that you do. Hi, everybody. Lee Scott here. Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. It is season 3 of Leading with Lee, and it's so exciting that you are watching and listening right now at this present moment. Now, Happy New Year. By the way, we're in the new year, and it is a new season of Leading, and I'm so excited to get to share quite often with you in this new season. It's a new time, it's a new moment. And I hope that you came into this new year 2022 with some new perspective about how you can make a difference in our world. And so let's get into it today. And I want to just share some things with you just at the outset of this season about how this year is going to look for Leading with Lee. Number one, I want to tell you that you're going to be seeing a lot of me this season. I'm here to share some things with you concerning leadership that I really think will be helpful to you and actually help you discover the leader within. That's the first big thing. Secondly, we're going to have a lot of conversations and a lot of engagement through the socials. If you have not done it yet, go and follow us on Instagram now at Leading with Lee on Instagram, and now it's on Facebook too. And so now you're going to get content every single day from me sharing about life, leadership, and legacy, and hopefully you're inspired to make a difference and do some things in your own space, because we're here to help you figure some stuff out, right? And so I'm so excited to be with you for this new season. It's been an incredible journey to get to this third year now with Leading, but we're going to start doing some different things here on this podcast and vlog. And I'm so excited that you are going to get an opportunity to be a part of what's going on here. So today, I want to share some things with you concerning leadership. Obviously, it is called Leading with Lee. So I talk about life, leadership, and legacy, and I talk about the things as it relates to leadership, and I want to really give some insight. But we are in an interesting moment in time. And so I want to start the season really trying to key in and lock into some thought processes that we are working on and some thought processes that can really put us in the right moment, put us in the right mindset, that it won't lock us into just doing something for a year, but it really will cause us to change the way we look at our mindset and the way we approach life when it comes down to what we do every day. So today I want to share with you some of my leadership philosophy. One thing I've been thinking about actually as we came into this new year is what actually is leadership? What is this concept that we consider leadership? Because there's so many people who might watch this or listen to this as you're driving in your car, as you're sitting at home, as you are possibly, washing dishes or doing whatever you're doing. You might be sitting there to yourself, why does this concept of leadership, why should it matter to me? And I fundamentally believe that every person has a capacity and level of leadership. Every single person has something that they can contribute to society and culture. And when we understand that we can make a contribution, we all begin to operate different in our world. Now, this episode, as I said earlier, I'm going to talk about what actually is leadership and kind of break down some of the concepts that we need to look at throughout this year. It's been an interesting few years for all of us. Obviously, we just came out of 2021, and 2021, by all accounts, was an interesting time and year for every single person. They're really honest with themselves. But for you, this is the opportunity for you to set the course, to set things in order and get things done. Now, right now, we are in an interesting, unique political, social, and corporate moment, right? The workforce has changed so much. The corporate structures have changed so much. People are finding new pathways and trying to figure out where they fit into our culture. And we're trying to see if the things that we're doing is going to be effective, if the things that we're doing is going to really put us in the right spaces and right places to accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish. And it takes a great deal of perspective to have about this. So let me just give you my definition of leadership, because I think before we get into anything else this season of leading, I want to give some definitions on every single episode. I'm going to give you some definitions because I think in order for you to understand a thing, you have to define it. And we can have definition. It gives us a better insight into how we can obtain it or walk in it and operate in it every single day. So I'm going to give you my definition of leadership. I believe that leadership is seeing something that has not happened yet, vision, and taking people, processes, and other stuff into that direction. I believe that leadership is seeing something that has not happened yet, taking people, processes, and organization into that direction. And I think leadership is so simple that everybody can do it. You can do leadership. You can operate in leadership. You can invest in your own unique leadership and figure out how do you show up in the world and how do you show up for people to be impacted by what you do every single day. Now, in August of last year, we had an interesting moment. There was a lot of analysis as it relates to the workforce. There was this thing, they were calling it the Great Resignation. And in this article that I was reading from The Atlantic, they shared how literally companies saw in droves, people just quit, leave their jobs, 20 somethings and 30 somethings that may be watching or listening to this. Our generation started to leave the workforce, and I was trying to figure out, why are these young people leaving the workforce? Why are they choosing not to stay in a job? Why are they choosing to leave this particular industry or leave this certain workspace or leave this thing that seems stable? They have access to healthcare. They have access to consistent finances. Why are they choosing to opt out and leave these spaces? And as I began to do some research and begin to dig into this conversation, I noticed something very interesting about this. It said in a CNBC article, I saw that just in the month of August of last year, 2021, 4.3 million people just quit. They just left the workforce. They said, I'm done. I'm out. This is not what I want to do. This is not bringing joy to me. And it's specifically in service and customer service driven industries like the food industry. And even we saw it in the retail industry. And this mass exodus has created it's put a lot of pressure on corporate America. It's pushed a lot of corporate businesses and a lot of organizations to really, really try to do what they need to do by raising wages, by incentivizing people to come back. There have been companies that have, from Target to Walmart to Old Navy, to all these companies are trying to figure out, how do we get people back in these stores to work these jobs and do the work that we need them to do. And as they struggle to get people back to work and get people engaged and involved, it's difficult because people feel like they need to be valued. That's one thing we're going to talk about this season is value here on Leading. We're going to actually dig into the idea of value and why that's important and why we need to have a perspective about the conversation of value and why we need to really unpack that idea. But as we start the season, I just kind of want to lay some groundwork in, why do we care so much about how we are operating or what we are receiving from work? Have you ever asked yourself, what is it that you want in life? What is it that you want to receive or benefit from in the process of getting to the goals and dreams that you've thought a great deal about? And it's forcing our work environments to change. It's forcing our working environments to do a lot of things different. We've seen so much social and political and economic change in our environment that's forcing the workforce to have to adapt and change. I was reading an article that I was share with you. They shared how permanently the work culture is changing drastically in a lot of ways. There's some significant change. I'm gonna give you those 10 ways in which the workforce landscape has changed. Number one, hybrid work is here to stay. Corporate America realizes that they can benefit from actually giving people options, whether they want to stay at the office or not, whether they're able, and now they're having access to employees all across the country and all around the world because they have expanded their understanding of how work should look. Do we have to have them every day at the building? No, we don't necessarily have to do that. We can streamline, we can save money, we can cut down costs if we give people options. This benefits most mothers and women who are, or stay-at-home parents in general, who are trying to raise their children, who are trying to engage in being a part of their kids' lives. Having the option of remote or hybrid work is something that is becoming a permanent fixture. Secondly, the office is here to stay also, but it serves a new purpose. In this article, it shared how coming into the office is going to become a thing of us coming together to gather and to have collaboration, it's going to become a way for in the corporate structure where people are able to get some face time with individuals that they need to have face time with. They're able to have options. Hey, I want to go to the office 3 days this week and I'm going to go stay at home 2 days. It's going to give people an opportunity to have a unique and different experience in their work lives and give them the freedom to choose how they want to live their lives in a productive way. Another way that this is happening, and they even talked about this in this article, it said that it's one thing that's permanent about the workforce is the acceleration of digitalization. Now, what does they mean by that? Is that technology is going to continuously play a critical role in shaping how the future is created. Now, here's the thing as it relates to that, because it's one thing that I think every company and every person who might listen to this or watch this may see in your own life. If you are an entrepreneur right now, the way you are promoting your business is you're using social media. Yours truly uses social media almost every single day. When I post things to inspire or motivate or encourage people every day, I'm posting things because I'm trying to stir up conversations about what I do and what I have to say. If I want to get booked to come speak, it is a part of my job or part of my work is creating content, is sharing ideas, is sharing philosophy, is doing what I do right now. Me podcasting and vlogging is a part of sharing my brand and my ethos because it is critical to my business's future. It's critical to entrepreneurship's future. In corporate America, they're recognizing how necessary it is to have options for people to be able to do work from home. People need to be able to have access to Zoom and Skype and all these Slack and all these things that makes it easier for corporate America to function and operate at a different pace. That digitalization is a key aspect of growth and success. And that's something that you and I have to keep in mind. We're talking about collaborative tools like AI artificial intelligence and analytics and blockchain. We even see it in conversations about cryptocurrency right now. Digitalization is changing how work happens every single day. I work for TTCU Federal Credit Union. One of the big things that was happening at TTCU was we were going through a whole digitalization experiment where literally in that process, we're dealing with our folks, people that work for the credit union, having to change systems. Literally in the last year that I was there, we literally changed systems. We changed things. We changed what we were doing. We went to a new system. We began to get more video tellers. We began to get different things. And this experiment and this experience changed the way we did our work, changed the way we were able to function as a organization. And it made us operate differently. And that's the thing. It's interesting because when you operate differently, it pushes you beyond what is possible or what you thought was possible. And that's something that is happening within the corporate structure. And it's happening all around us. We all are being pushed to learn technology, to learn this new medium, to learn how to use social media effectively, to learn how to use every platform effectively. It is causing us to grow in a plethora of ways, but it's something that is necessary at this particular moment in time. We need the power of digitalization. Here's another factor that article pointed out. They said it's requiring companies to have a broader focus on employee well-being. Now, I don't have to explain very much to you why this is necessary, because we're seeing in corporate America, people are dealing with a level of anxiety or stress that they have never dealt with before. In most corporate structures and most business right now, they have this thing called EAP, or it's an employee service where it allows them to go to therapy, to talk to counselors, to talk to crisis counselors, to talk to people about the things that they need in order for them to be able to be fully functioning and able to engage at the most effective way in their work. But this thing is super helpful because businesses are now saying, hey, we got to focus on this. We got to make this a priority to tell our folks, hey, we got on-site counselors. We have folks that can help you take care of your mental health, take care of your emotional health, take care of the things that you need to specifically take care of, because we care deeply about who you are as a person and not what you just can do for us. It is a priority for you to do that. And in your work, you are, even as many of you might be looking for jobs or looking for a change in career, that has become a priority. Do you care about me? Do you care about my value? Do you care about what I bring to the table? And we're going to talk about that even in this season too. But what do you care about the impact that these things has on me? Another thing that it shared in the article, it talked about how companies are, for the first time, and it's been a conversation that has been happening for a while, but companies right now are prioritizing diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is a movement that has moved across the corporate world so rapidly, especially in the last few years due to George Floyd's murder and due to all the social justice things that have been elevated in the conversations and the need for having diverse groups of individuals within the corporate structure. It is forcing corporations to actually engage in conversations about inclusion, engage in conversations about diversity, engage in conversations about equity and what that looks like in the corporate space. And this is something that is not trivial by any means necessary. It's going to require work. It's going to require people laying aside what is normative for them and learning and reaching out and engaging. As I said before, many of you know that I work for TTCU Federal Credit Union in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And even in me working for them, they were my first client with my company, Lee Scott Consulting, LLC. And even in working with them, what was interesting is they hired my company to help them talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because learning people's stories, learning about who these people are, what they bring, and who and how they operate in the world was super necessary to them. They felt that it was a priority to talk about what are you dealing with outside of work. Because the reality is, no matter what is your occupation, you bring your whole self to everything that you do. If you are a mother, you bring that to your work. If you are in a relationship or not a relationship, you bring that to work. If you are part of a club or an organization, or you have some connections to different things, you bring that into your corporate space. You bring your full self to work. And you live that every single day. And it's so important that we not trivialize it, that we recognize that it is a huge part of your success. It is a critical aspect of your ability to be able to do the work that you do. If you had a bad situation at home before you came to work, you're going to bring that to work. Why? Because it is a part of your life and your ethos. So it requires that business and corporate structures actually prioritize and be sympathetic to those realities. Here's the other thing that's becoming a new thing: new management models. corporations are shifting to a more of a more coaching and more monitoring and more engagement from management in a collectivism way, in a more of a way of trying to create opportunities for their employees instead of creating a culture of hierarchical systems. They're becoming more linear. They're becoming more of a circle in their operation because they're trying to create an environment where people don't feel as if they're just here to do a job for them and get a paycheck. They want to create an environment where people feel like they are a part of the team and actually are bringing a new and unique perspective. And it's forcing businesses to have to do that because, as I said earlier, a lot of businesses are trying to figure out who can they hire. What employees can we find to fill these posts or fill these positions or fill these spaces? How can we get the people that we need? Everybody's dealing with this reality. They're dealing with the reality of that. The other thing, that there's three more, the other thing that they're dealing with is the environmental, social, and governance concerns. This article talked about how there are people coming into the workforce, especially millennials and Gen Z, as we come into the workforce, as we operate in business, we care about, is the planet going to be here long enough for us to have long life and be successful in our careers? What is your thoughts about environmentalism? What is your thoughts about climate change? What is your thoughts about the social unrest or inequity that's happening around us? Do you have a plan? Have you thought about how your business is going to show up in the world and be a bastion or a beacon for social, political, and environmental change? Or are you here to make money? And all those things are fine, but people want to know not about what you do also. They want to know what you're doing it for. Do you care about some issues beyond getting people to hire or buy or engage with your products or with your services? You as the entrepreneur that might be listening or watching this, you need to think about, hey, what is my organization doing beyond this one operation or service that we offer? What are we doing beyond that present moment to make a difference socially, to make a difference environmentally, to make a difference as far as government is concerned? Here's the other two. Are you going out of your way to seek out and find and acquire new, unique talent? Let's be real. If we look at most corporate structures or look at most businesses, this is the reason why entrepreneurship is such a driving force. And I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship at some point on this season, but it's driving people because one of the things that we've seen in corporate structures is we often pick people based on what we are comfortable with. Let's be real about it. When you're looking for talent, there's an archetype that you might have in your mind of the type of person that you want to be a part of your organization. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there needs to be a set of skills, there needs to be a set of ideas, that a set of values that you have within your organization that people need to walk by. But in order for your organization to grow, sometimes you need to challenge yourself to go outside of what is normative or what you're used to, and find talent, find individuals that are not represented within your organization. No matter their gender, no matter their race, no matter their sexual orientation, no matter their background, no matter where they come from, their socioeconomic status, it should not matter. It should become a value for you as an organization. We're going to go and find new talent. We're going to go find people that we will never generally hire because we want to create an environment of newness and an environment of learning for all of us. We want to create an environment where our people are being challenged to think beyond now. Where our people are being challenged to do things differently. And that's what's important. We have to ask ourselves, what actually is the goal that we want to set so that we can see it operate well within our organization. We want to see people actually bring fresh and new ideas into our culture as an organization. Because let's be real, new doesn't necessarily mean bad. The reason why some organizations have continued to stay relevant for 50, 60, 70 years is because they were willing to be malleable enough for change and new ideas. They were able to transform. They were able to be flexible. They were able to conform or move in a way. They were able to adjust in a way that it created opportunities for that organization to be ready for the changes that were coming. You have to be that way in your own life, in your own leadership. You got to figure out, how do I become malleable enough? How do I remain solid in my foundation or my values, but I'm able to transform enough, I'm able to adjust enough to operate in a new space. In this season, we're going to talk about you operating in a new space. This is a new year. This is year 3. So there's an expectation. The expectation has gone up. Leading is 3 years old, and I can't wait to celebrate on our next episode the 3-year anniversary of leading. I'm so excited about that, and I got some stuff to share with you guys even in that episode, just to really share with you my heart and what I am envisioning for the future of leading. So let me get to the last point, and I've kind of already touched on. There is an increased desire for leaders to be concerned about the culture of their organization. Are we becoming intentional about living out the values that we say or we espouse as a part of our culture? Are we doing what we can to ensure that folks feel like they are a part of what we're trying to build in the future? So why is that so important? Why am I talking about this on the first episode? Because there are maybe 2 or 3 types of people that might listen to this, right? There are people who listen to this. You have an organization, you're in leadership, you're either an entrepreneur or you are in mid-level management, you have people under you, and you're trying to figure out, how do I develop them? How do I cause them to grow in some ways? How do I move in that space to be somebody that is a catalyst for change for these people's lives beyond their job? How do I foster an environment where they can feel and experience the magnitude of what is in them, that they can really have some self-discovery? How do I foster an environment? And then there's people that are watching and listening to this. You are in your career, you're doing your thing, you're trying to figure it out, and you're trying to move up, and you're trying to show yourself as valuable, which we'll talk about at some point. You're trying to show people that I can do this, that I can bring value to the table, that I have a set of skills and I have a set of talents that will literally make this organization better. And then there are people that may be listening or watching this that you have no clue. You stumbled upon this video, or you stumbled upon this podcast and was like, hey, I don't know who this guy is, but I guess I'll listen for a few moments. And you ask yourself, okay, I've gotten to this point in the podcast, and he's kind of shared some different things about, corporate America, and he shares some different things about his idea of leadership. And he says that he believes that every person has a capacity and level of leadership. And, he gave his definition of leadership, and that's cool, but I'm still not sure. And no matter what category you fall in, why this is important is that in order for people to really come into a place of fulfillment, we have to be able to identify what we are here for and why we are here and what we do in the spaces that we're in. Because no matter what your job is, you have something to fulfill in that space. You have to be yourself in that space. We're going to talk about that this season. You have to learn how to function fully as yourself in every space that you are in. It's a necessary aspect of your development. It's a necessary aspect of your growth. It's a necessary aspect of how you're going to transform the world. It is so critical that you understand how it is that you operate and function and bring light into the world. You got to figure that out. And the way you figure that out is understanding how to tap into your own leadership. Now I'm going to stop for a second real quick, and I'll be right back after this information. Hi everybody, Lee here, and I want to give some information to you. Do you need someone to host an event or come and speak at your event? You can now book yours truly. Book me for your event by visiting www.leeascott.com. I am so excited to connect with you and do work with you. Much love, and let's get started. All right, and we're back, and I'm so thankful that you are still here listening. But I want to share something. My last thing that I want to share with you before I get out of here and just going about my business. And I hope you come back, because this season we're going to really dig into this concept of leadership. I really believe we need to break down this idea that every person has a capacity and level of leadership, because there's so many people that are walking around here full of potential, but they have yet to figure out why they are here and what they're supposed to do with their lives. Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe, who's someone who's very much so one of my leadership heroes and somebody I deeply respect, the late great Dr. Miles Monroe, he says that the wealthiest place in the world is the graveyard, because it's full of people who did not fulfill purpose. And I hope that as you watch and listen to this season of Leading with Lee, you realize that it is necessary for you to fulfill and live out purpose in the world, that your job is not all that you are. We're going to talk about the difference between job and work. There's a difference. It's a powerful thing when your job and work become the same, but we need to really think beyond just our occupation. We got to get beyond just thinking that the only way I can fully be myself, to fully be fulfilled in what I do, is if I'm in a specific space. Because there's even time limit on that. You got to operate beyond that. You got to learn to function beyond that. And I want to leave this really critical thought with you, because, and I want this to matter to you, is you got to realize that authenticity is a key to self-discovery. You meeting yourself, you getting to know your own personal leadership, getting to unlock the leader within you, getting to a place where you unlock the unique way you operate in the world, the way you smile, the way you speak, the way you talk to people, the way you engage, the way you do the things that you do. All those things happen as a result of you recognizing who you are, being authentic, knowing yourself. I believe that the most dangerous person is a person that knows themselves. When you know yourself, you're very dangerous, because nobody can define what it is that you can do. You know what to say no to when you know yourself. You know what to say yes to when you know yourself. You know how you show up in the world when you have figured out your authentic self through self-discovery. I'm going to give you a task to do, because I think that it's super important that as you go on about your day, that you actually take some practical things in that. I think there's some necessary indicators of that. I think the 3 places you can go right now to figure out your self-discovery, or figure out how you operate authentically. The first place you can go is to your friends. Go have some conversations with your friends. Now, I'm not talking about just anybody. I'm talking about people that are really close to you, people that you hang out with, that you talk to on a weekly basis, people that you engage in conversations with all the time. Ask them about, how are you showing up in the world? How are you operating? How are you talking? How are you doing the things that you're doing? Ask them, what do they think about you? Just ask them the question. How am I around you? What am I good at? What have you noticed that I just do really well? That's an indicator. That's a way you can indicate. The second place you can go is your family. It's your family. Now, I know everybody's family situation is different. Sometimes your friends are your family. But if you have a solid relationship with their family, ask your family, say, hey, what have you noticed, Grandma, that I do really well? What have you noticed, Uncle, Auntie, Mom, Dad, brother, sister? What have you noticed that I do really well? What have you noticed that I excel at? What have you noticed that I operate in? You can ask your kids this. You can ask your spouse this, your partner this. What do I do really well? And let them tell you. Let them indicate to you how you show up in the world. And then the last place, and I think this is probably the most difficult thing, but it is a super important space, and I think there's a caveat, and I may just say it's too, but I think the last place you could need to go is yourself. You know, take my glasses off for a second, because I think what often happens is we underappreciate how we view what we do. What you do really well is often where your greatest power is. Because what we tend to do is trivialize things that actually are unique to us. Prime example, what I'm doing right now is very unique to me. You can ask any of my close friends, they will tell you, Lee speaking, Lee talking, Lee doing this right now is very specific and unique to him. He just does it. In every conversation, they probably say I talk. You know, I always would joke that my parents would say that I talk too much as a kid. Now I'm using it to empower people like you and speak to you about life and leadership and legacy. This is something that I naturally do well. I worked at it. Obviously, I've shared on here before that I've gotten to speech and debate. I took some classes. I developed my gift. But the way you figure that out is you understanding that generally what you do well is actually a part of your uniqueness. For some of you, you are really great at organizing. That's a business. There are people who literally, for a living, all they do is organize people's lives. They organize people's businesses. They administrate for folks. You're really good at baking cakes. That's a business. You're really good at singing, or you're really good at writing, or you're really good at welding or building stuff. These are business opportunities, and it's a part of how you show up in the world. That unique thing that you do, it is a part of what causes people to see your greatness. Because I believe everyone is great. I believe everyone has something to give. I believe every person has something that they can contribute to society and culture. And we should never underappreciate you. So what actually is your leadership? What actually is the thing that you need to take some time to think about? What do you need to rediscover about yourself? What do you need to have conversations with individuals about? What thought processes do you need to change about what you do well? Because a lot of times, our greatest days, or the things we're most successful, is a lot closer than we think. They are within reach. You are within reach of the greatest ideas, concepts, attitudes, shifts in your life right now. You are. But you have to believe that it is possible. And throughout the season, we're going to really try to get into self-discovery. We'll try to really get into you figuring out, how do I show up in the world, and what does my leadership look like? Because trust me, I believe that you have a capacity and that you have a level of leadership, and the world deserves to see it. Stay with me. I can't wait to see you for the next episode. It's going to be a good time. Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee.
If you have not done it yet, subscribe on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. If you want to get more information and connect with me, visit me at www.leeascott.com or follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lee A. Scott II or Lee A. Scott II. So, thank you for watching. Much love, and let's get started.